All right, guys. Well, welcome to Kappa Sigma's Second to None podcast. Today's episode is focusing on chapter excellence. So I have the privilege of sitting here with four brothers from chapters who have won the FACE Award over the last academic school year. And I'll let you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves so that we can get an idea of who you are and where you're from. I'll go ahead and start. Isaac Lipscomb, a worthy Grand Procurator. And then we'll go over here.
Thank you, brother. My name is Rein Behlke. I'm the Grand Master of the Delta-Zeta chapter at the University of New Mexico.
Great.
Yeah, my name is Perez. I'm the Grand Master of the Sigma Mu chapter of Colorado Mesa University.
I'm Mohammed Egla. I'm the founding Grand Master of the Phi-Eta chapter at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology.
There you go.
And I'm James Lombardo. I am the Grand Master of Delta Omega at Wake Forest University.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to, not necessarily go see the sights of Charlottesville and, film this podcast with us. We really appreciate it, you guys. So, we're going to keep this pretty light. It's a podcast. We're just talking to all the undergraduate members out there. And so we want to just give them a good idea of what it takes to become a FACE or a Founder Circle chapter. So, the first thing that I'll ask, and, if all of you want to answer this or if one of you want to answer it, just go ahead and jump in. What does it take to build a culture of excellence within your chapter? Or what are some of the things that you have done to build that culture of excellence?
I think for me, the big thing is always putting the chapter before yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that should be extended to everyone in the chapter. And I think really maintaining that philosophy is the first step in having a successful culture overall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for us, what really helped is, setting those standards in the beginning, especially when it comes to recruiting. During the pledging process, we set those standards high, and that keeps that momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of also want to build up on the standards part. When your members know what to expect, it becomes very consistent. All your members are consistent. They know the new norm. They know what to do. It's nothing out of the ordinary for them. So that definitely helped us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the recruiting aspect was pretty interesting because, when you're recruiting guys who share your vision and share that, hard work ethic that, hopefully your chapter embodies, it's easy to build that culture of excellence, right? I mean, if, you're just recruiting guys who think, I'm just going to be here. This is like a social club, like don't really have to do anything, right? It's going to be hard to kind of build that culture. But, with everyone kind of like buying in and, to the like a hard work ethic, I think, we'll really like get some good results.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that you guys have all talked about is building that culture, right? So how is it that you guys motivate people within your chapter? So I know that, not everybody is 100% on board all the time. So when you do encounter that, what are some of the ways that you guys use to motivate?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start here. One of our biggest things that we installed just a couple of years ago, we got this from the leadership conference in New Orleans, is we're starting to do an incentive discount for your dues.
Mm-hmm.
So to come to 75% of our recruitment events, you'll get $75 off. Same goes for social events. And it kind of just helps our brothers like come out and, they have a reason to come out and then a reason to also help out with recruitment. And, not everyone's in it for the money. A lot of guys are there to actually recruit, to have a good time at a social event, but some guys are, but it's good to see those faces and you're usually able to, see those guys there be like, hey man, like I always want to see you out here. Like, it's good to see you here. Like, I hope I see you at the next event as well.
I also want to build upon that. We also take off money off our dues when it comes to any events and stuff like that. But the main thing is a lot of these guys want to be seen. So you kind of thank them for like showing up to events, stuff like that. Like, oh, like he acknowledged me, like he's happy that I'm there. That means he wants me at more events, stuff like that. And they kind of get excited and stuff like that. And they actually start showing up and they feel more motivated and more appreciated.
Yeah.
That way.
One of the things kind of along that line is praise in public and discipline in private. Something that, we definitely use at our chapter as well. Did you have some to add to that?
Yeah, just to add up on what he said, we do like Brother of the Month posts, stuff like that, Brother of the Week. During our chapter meetings, somebody, organized a big philo event all on their own or whatever. We shout them out. We give them props for that. And that's just how we motivate our guys by showing off what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest way I found to motivate my chapter is just leading by example. Never ask the guys to do anything you won't do yourself.
It's key.
And yeah, the EC should be the standard of excellence. And, like the GP should have outstanding grades if he's going to, tell people to study. The GMC should be a master of the ritual if they're going to tell people to get certificates. And that's worked out pretty well for us.
Okay. Very cool. Anything else anybody else wants to add on to that? No? Okay, so I want to kind of change the conversation just a little bit into underperformers within the chapter, right? So kind of along the same route, we had to motivate some people, but even after motivation, somebody's just not getting it, right? So how do we hold underperformers accountable within the chapter?
Yeah, I'd love to start this one.
Sure, go ahead.
What I love to do is to just sit down with that guy that is underperforming in any given area and just have a conversation about like why he joined the chapter and remind him, why he decided to initiate, why he decided to, sink money into it, why he decided to sink his time into it. And usually through those conversations, you get down to the root of why they want to be there and they kind of rediscover something in themselves. Maybe it was all great and then they had a bad year, but when they think back to when things were good, then they start to want to put in the work again. And that's the strategy I like to take.
Okay.
Yeah, just to go off of what he said too, we do that as well. We tend to find out that sometimes it's not that they don't want to do or they can't. It's other stuff that's going on in their personal life that's holding them back. So by having that conversation with them, we could find a way to help them and get them back into our chapter and the right mindset.
Okay.
I feel like we're all kind of agreeing on the same thing, but
yeah,
I love the reason why you're here.
Yeah.
I love using that the most. When you're talking to a brother, you're here for a reason, you're paying your dues, but if you're underperforming, there has to be something up. So a conversation goes a long way, especially not yelling. Brothers don't like getting yelled at. It's easier to be more peaceful. Ask them, hey, I wanted this to happen. These were my expectations, but this happened.
Yeah.
And here's how we could fix it and move on forward from that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm lucky to be in a chapter of overperformers instead of underperformers. So
I was like, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. Next
I'm
question.
Lucky, no, but I completely agree with all that. And when I do need to have a conversation with someone, it's usually like, I think we can all agree that like that in-person personal conversation is kind of what we're going for, kind of what we're striving for, because, it's like I could send you a text and, it doesn't mean anything. But, if I say, hey, like, can we meet, over lunch or something, we have a good lunch, we have a good talk, that usually helps a lot. And, you get the most out of that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of the whole point of, our BIA program. We have the BIA for pledges, but, once you're a pledge, it doesn't stop. The Brothers in Action is kind of being your brother's keeper, making sure that, no matter what position you are, that you're checking in with your brothers. So I think that that's right on the nose as far as, how do you hold underperformers accountable? I think that's great. As far as aspiring face chapters, this is top of the top, as far as face and then founder circle. So for those who either haven't achieved this or those who maybe have gotten it and it was a while ago and they haven't been able to do it multiple times in a row, what are some advice that you guys would have for them or, things that you'd want them to know?
I'd love to start on this because we're a first time Face Award winning chapter.
Yep.
And what it really took was getting the entire brotherhood to buy into our Grandmaster's vision. I want to give him a shout out Luke Anders, that guy, incredible guy. Really, really great. He had a vision for us. We were kind of down in the dumps as a fraternity in the school. In the school's eyes, socially, we weren't really, anywhere near the top. And, Luke Anders said, you know what, we're going to go out and we're going to kill it. I'm sick and tired of being the losers here. Like, let's just go out and get a bunch of kids with Rush. That's going to help with a lot of stuff. We're going to be able to do better AGC events. He got us back on campus. So really, the whole chapter bought into his vision. There were guys that you would never imagine would help out with Rush that are helping out at Rush. And it was really, really shocking to see the whole chapter come together. I never really would have thought that would have happened. And yeah, it was incredible. Really getting the chapter to buy into the vision. I think that's the best way you can do it.
How do you think that he did that?
He's a humble guy, and he's a great leader as well. And he takes accountability, right? So, he's a very, very likable person. And if, he asks something of you, he means it, right? So when he asked the chapter, hey, I want to be better. Can you guys help me do it? The entire chapter said, of course, we're going to do that.
Okay. There you go.
I think my best advice, I am a first year Face Award winner. And I hope we're back every single year after this.
Don't hope, make it happen, dude.
It will happen. I feel that we've been very consistent with our work throughout the year. I feel a lot of phase chapters or someone that's aspiring to win a phase chapter, they see that scorecard when those scores first get released and they're like, oh, have to start raising money now, stuff like that. But if you're consistent throughout the year, you don't really have a deadline anymore. You kind of know what to do and how to do it. And you're not on a time crunch like a lot of chapters.
Yeah, I'd love to add on to that because that's very similar to what I was going to say. Because what we found is it's just systems in place. You find out what works, what doesn't, and then it becomes automated really quickly. And, it's a thing that's taken, my chapter from winning face to winning founders every year.
There you go.
And, getting founders with max points. Shout out AA Elijah Lopez for making that possible.
Yeah, Elijah, let's go, dog.
But that's what it comes down to is it's just, a checklist at that point. And once you have systems that have developed, and then you can pass those down to any EC after you, and they know exactly what to do to win.
So you hit on something that I do want to hit with the podcast. And so since you just said it, let's dive into it. The face scorecard, right? Like we kind of been talking about, some chapters see that and they're like, oh, how do we do this? Like what's going on? So what tips would you guys have? And everybody doesn't have to answer this question if you don't have it, but if you do, what tips would you guys have as far as planning in advance for this? So it's not like, come April, people are trying to do things last minute to get in. How far in advance would you try and do things? So why don't you guys talk a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I could start this off. Basically, you just have to have a really good plan, right? You break it down into the categories. You put somebody in charge of that category. Champions Quest, GMC.
Champion, sorry, singular, not plural.
Champion Quest. Put the GMC in charge of that, and then he has his rush chairs.
Yes.
You put the ritual part. You make your ritual chair in charge of that, your philo chair, and they're in charge of that for the whole year, right? If you start off in April, chances are you're probably not going to hit it.
Correct.
But that's why you got to start early. You break it down, you plan it out, For AGC, it tells you how much you have to raise, right? You could do 1-2 big events per month. You should be able to hit that goal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. I think, for us as a chapter, like what we really needed to hit to be able to like even be eligible for face was the rush goal. I think it's the most important goal out of all of them. I mean, you can get the most face points out of the rush goal. So when, you're striving for that, you're giving yourself a chance on everything else. And so, as far as planning ahead, like, you should be planning, in the summer to start getting a good rush class in the fall. For my chapter, we're a spring rush, so we plan all throughout the fall to get a good class in the spring, right? But we still have a fall class. We try to get a big class for, so we don't have to, really play last minute to get that big rush class. So I think like starting early on that is really going to give any chapter like a really good chance to do it.
Sure.
Yeah. Everything else kind of just comes.
Okay.
I guess what works now for us is logging everything on time, making sure we're keeping track of what we have done so far and comparing it to the scorecard from last year and making sure we're up to date. We're almost there. We need more improvements at some point. Say AGC hours are looking low. So we have all this time to prepare for AGC hours while everything else looks really good. So definitely logging, keeping track of everything.
Yeah, 100% agree with all that. Just systems in place and accountability.
Okay, there you go. So getting off of the face scorecard for a little bit, one question that I'm curious about for you guys is what do you think as leaders within the chapter is two-part question. One, what's the hardest part about being a leader? Secondary, what's the most fulfilling or the most rewarding for you guys?
I definitely want to start on the most rewarding part of being a leader. My favorite part about it is absolutely getting to know the rest of the undergraduate brothers who I might not be as close with. I might be very close with my pledge class, but I'm not necessarily as close to the sophomores or the freshmen in the fraternity. But being a leader, you get a chance to work with literally everybody, right? Whether they're a chair position or, whether you get to invite them out to being, to come out to an event, right? And say, hey man, I really want to see you here. I want to get to know you better, right? And, for me being a leader, like I've gotten to do that. And I would say I'm very close to my chapter. I'm very, very grateful for that as well.
Okay.
I'll start with the hardest part, I guess. There's definitely a pressure on your shoulders. You want to do good. And if your chapter's not performing well, it feels like it's all on you. So that's definitely one of the hardest parts, I also want to talk about making the right choices. A lot of brothers might think, oh, that's not the right choice,
Right.
stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that makes that choice. And if you feel like that's the right choice, then sometimes you get critics back at you like, oh, why'd you do that? Stuff like that. But you also have to back yourself up on why you did that and why that was a reasonable choice. I think the most rewarding part is seeing your brothers grow as people. A lot of our new members, they're very shy at first. When you first ever meet them at a rush event, very shy. And then the months go by and then they're brothers and they're just insane. They're crazy, they're the best.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most rewarding part to me, is seeing all these brothers just grow as humans.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, just being able to grow yourself too as a leader. When I first became a pledge and then became a brother, I didn't really have a big role in the chapter. I got nominated to be Grand Scribe, and, being in that EC position kind of made me realize what I can do.
Yeah.
So just being able to grow is probably the most rewarding part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, the hardest thing with being a leader, especially being GM, is that accountability goes both ways.
Mhm.
When, things are going great, you get to, be the guy that's responsible for that. But when things are going poorly, it's all on your shoulders too. And it doesn't matter what, position, on your EC or chairs, what responsibility that person had. If it doesn't happen, it's on you, because the buck stops with the guy in charge. And, that's what being, GM's about. As for the most rewarding, I really think it's like leaving your chapter a better place than you found it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, my chapter's had a lot of ups and downs since I've, been a brother. And now getting to see leaving my term at the height of that I've ever seen it is so rewarding, especially after seeing what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah. That's awesome. As we are starting to get to a close here, I think we have just a couple more minutes, but I have two last questions for you guys. The first one is, anything that we haven't covered today, doesn't have to necessarily be, face or, anything like that. What other tips would you guys have for chapters just in general?
I have one, not necessarily for the chapter in general, but maybe like the people on EC.
Sure.
You can't make everybody happy. And that's
that's a good one.
and that is the
Talk through
hardest
that for a
part
second.
that I had to deal with when I was GS
Mhm.
and GM. And I realized you can't make everybody happy. You got to make some tough decisions at the end of the day. And as long as you could go back home and say, I made the right choice, you'll be fine.
I would urge people to, get to know a brother that they might not know that well. It's really rewarding. It's a lot of fun. There could be a kid in the fraternity you've just never talked to, and he could be your best friend one day.
Mhm.
So I would really, really encourage people to do that, because honestly, I've done it several times with a lot of my brothers, and those are my best friends. So
There you go.
I guess I kind of want to touch up on a GM part of this. Definitely drop your ego and ask for help when you need it. Your advisors and your DGM are a great source for you. I wouldn't be here today without them. Shout out AJ Tuda and James Delorsini.
Yeah,
But,
James and AJ.
Definitely had to drop my ego fast, because I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know the answers to everything.
Mhm.
And the best thing to do is ask for help. They have way more experience than you. They know what to do. So definitely ask for help.
For me, it's go into everything with a winning mindset.
Mhm.
Just don't let failure be an option. Just make a plan, stick to it, because, winning is the most addictive drug. And once you get hooked, sky's the limit.
There you go. All right. So last question for you guys as we wrap this up. As chapters are gearing up, for right now it's going to be spring rush, but depending on when somebody listens to this, what advice would you have for chapters, or give like a 30-second charge to your undergraduate peers for achieving excellence? So I'll go ahead, and whoever wants to start, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and start. Whatever you do well and do good. My old pastor taught me that.
Mhm.
And, if you live your life like that, you're going to be a happy person, and the people around you are going to be happy as well. So whatever you do well and do good.
I guess I would say always overshoot. Don't try to hit, say you want 25 new members in this upcoming spring. Don't set that limit at 25. Go above and beyond. You're capable of more. And say you get more than 25, then you're like, wow, I could actually do that. I think if you set like a limit, your brain kind of thinks of, oh, I'm just going to stop right there.
Mhm.
You know, I kind of like overshooting. That way we get more and more, and then it just keeps going from there.
There you go.
I have one that I say to my boys all the time. A face award isn't just a trophy. It's proof that your chapter chose to be elite every single day. So commit to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and great segue into mine. Wake up every morning and ask what you can do for the chapter, and don't go to bed till you've accomplished it.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I appreciate the time, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And this has been an amazing episode. So I want to congratulate you guys on your success and, make sure that you guys are leaving a chapter in a better place than you are. And I know that you will. So I'm looking forward to see how you guys progress and grow throughout the order. And KDB, gentlemen.
Thank you, brother.
KDB.
Thank you.